thank you to the subscriber that recommended this story. In November of 1999, in a small Brooklyn, New York apartment, detectives made a horrifying discovery. Tucked away inside a bedroom closet sat a trunk containing the remains of a small child. But what made the discovery even more disturbing was that the body was hidden for nearly 20 years, and this secret may have never been revealed if not for the relentless persistence of the one person who barely remembered her. Today, we shine light on the tragic story of Latanisha Carmichael. Latanisha Carmichael was born in February of 1976 to her mother Madeline Carmichael. Madeline had 4 children, Gregory, Sabrina, and twins Andre and Latanisha. The twins' father reportedly left shortly after they were born. At the time, the family lived in a small apartment on East 96th Street in Brooklyn, New York. And according to later accounts, the Carmichael household was very abusive. The younger children lived in constant fear of both their mother Madeline and their older brother Gregory, who was around 16 years old at the time. Later reports stated that Gregory was often ordered by Madeline to physically punish the younger children. Madeline was described as a strict disciplinarian who kept her children socially isolated. They were not allowed to have friends, interact with relatives, or leave the house except for school. Neighbors would later say that Madeline was reclusive but a seemingly nice woman. But behind closed doors, investigators say that Madeline was anything but nice. And just a few years after the twins were born, one of the most disturbing crimes in New York would happen inside that apartment. In 1979, 3-year-old Latanisha would suddenly disappear. And for years, her disappearance remained a closely guarded family secret. Andre was so young at the time that he nearly lost all memory of even having a twin sister. But for Sabrina, who was around 8 years old at the time, the events of that day would stay with her forever. Sabrina would recall that on one fall morning, while she and her siblings were eating breakfast, is when her mother Madeline suddenly became enraged with Latanisha. Latanisha had reportedly been sick, and while Madeline was force-feeding her, she vomited onto the kitchen floor. This made Madeline angry. Sabrina recalled that Madeline began slapping Latanisha, then yanking her from the chair. Madeline then ordered Gregory to clean it up, which made him angry as well. According to Sabrina, Gregory then joined Madeline in beating Latanisha. The two took Latanisha into the bedroom while she and Andre remained seated at the kitchen table. She remembered hearing her little sister screaming in pain for some time. Then suddenly, the apartment went silent. Moments later, Sabrina recalled seeing panic on the faces of both her mother Madeline and her brother Gregory as they tried shaking Latanisha and pressing on her chest. As she grew older, Sabrina came to believe they were attempting to perform CPR on her 3-year-old sister. Sabrina said she was then beaten and threatened to ensure that she would never speak about what happened. At the time, she didn't fully understand what happened to Latanisha. She only knew that after that day, she never saw her sister again. It wasn't until years later that Sabrina would come to know the horrifying truth, that her little sister had been unalived. After the death of Latanisha, investigators reported that Madeline and Gregory took unsettling measures to hide the crime. According to documents, Latanisha's body was wrapped in plastic bags, blankets, and newspapers. Her body was then placed inside a trunk and covered with mothballs, baking soda, and incense sticks to hide the smell of decomposition. The trunk was then sealed shut, placed inside a plastic covering, and hidden inside a bedroom closet. The closet itself was kept locked, and the children were forbidden from even going near it. Meanwhile, the surviving children continued enduring years of abuse, isolation, and intimidation inside the home, often for simply behaving like normal children. Authorities would later discover that Madeline continued collecting welfare benefits in Latanisha's name for years after her death. In order to maintain those benefits, investigators reported that Madeline sometimes used other young girls to impersonate Latanisha to deceive child welfare officials. Between 1982 and 1988, multiple warning signs reportedly emerged. Neighbors reported hearing domestic disturbances and witnessing mistreatment of the children. Teachers reportedly noticed injuries, fearful behavior, and signs of neglect. Medical professionals who treated the children for injuries also reportedly raised concerns to child welfare agencies. Investigators later revealed that at least 8 CPS complaints involving the surviving children had been filed against Madeline Carmichael. Yet despite the repeated investigations, neither of the children were removed from the home. And even more disturbing, authorities failed to verify Latanisha's whereabouts. According to reports, Madeline repeatedly told caseworkers that she was too poor to care for all of her children, and that Latanisha had gone to live down south with relatives for a while, an explanation that during that era was often viewed as believable and went largely unquestioned. At other times, she reportedly claimed that Latanisha had been placed in foster care, and every time the child care agency would accept her stories without further verification. Although Madeline maintained limited contact with her relatives, when they did speak, she would also lie to them about Latanisha's whereabouts. Investigators later reported that for years she forged documents and falsified records to support her claims. Then, when Andre was around 8 years old, one of his aunts asked Madeline for permission to take him out for the day, and surprisingly, Madeline agreed. During this outing, Andre recalled his aunt asking him about his twin sister. Confused by the question, Andre responded he didn't have a twin sister. According to Andre, his aunt didn't press the issue any further. After returning home, he eventually asked his mother if he had another sister, and he recalled that she responded with violence. According to Andre, both Madeline and Gregory began beating him, forbidding him from ever bringing up the subject again. However, this was a question that Andre said stayed with him for years. Then, sometime in the late 1980s, amid more CPS claims and investigations, Madeline voluntarily placed Sabrina and Andre into foster care. Ironically, this decision may have further reduced any attention regarding Latanisha's disappearance, especially since Madeline continued insisting that Latanisha was living safely elsewhere. Andre and Sabrina were not only separated from their mother, but also from each other for years. While growing up in foster care, Andre said he occasionally mentioned the possibility of having a twin sister to the adults around him, but his comments were often overlooked or dismissed. Eventually, he stopped bringing it up altogether. Over the years, neighbors would describe strange behavior from Madeline. According to the apartment superintendent, Madeline often complained about hearing the cries of a baby screaming at night, despite there being no small children living nearby. She recalled Madeline saying the cries wouldn't let her sleep. Then in 1999, the case finally began to unravel. Andre was around 23 years old, a young man now with a family of his own, wanting answers about his past and unexplained dreams. Andre began reconnecting with relatives that he had been separated from during his years in foster care. And during that search, the name Latanisha slowly became central to his identity and growing need to uncover the truth. Despite his tough and turbulent childhood, Andre attempted to rebuild a relationship with his mother. Andre recalled Madeline initially welcomed him, but her demeanor suddenly changed when she saw his 3-year-old daughter. Andre said Madeline became visibly disturbed and told him not to bring the little girl back again. Eventually, Andre managed to reconnect with his older sister, Sabrina. For the first time in years, the siblings began discussing their childhood, and the missing sister neither of them had truly been allowed to talk about. Sabrina revealed that she too had recently reconnected with Madeline, And according to Sabrina, Madeline admitted that Andre's daughter strongly resembled someone from the past, and that seeing her brought back disturbing memories. Still searching for answers, Andre pressed Sabrina for the truth about Latanisha, but Sabrina, still haunted by their childhood, was fearful. And before she agreed to tell him what happened, Sabrina reportedly made Andre sign a handwritten agreement that demanded complete secrecy. Right after Andre signed the agreement, Sabrina finally broke down emotionally and revealed what she witnessed decades earlier. Sabrina believed that Latanisha's body might still be hidden in the family's old apartment. Andre struggled for weeks with the promise he made Sabrina, until eventually he couldn't keep the secret any longer. In November of 1999, Andre Carmichael contacted NYPD, sharing the details Sabrina had revealed. He eventually convinced Sabrina to speak with investigators as well. Police soon confirmed through official birth records that Andre was indeed born with a twin sister named Latanisha in February of 1976. The 20-year-old mystery was suddenly no longer just a rumor or childhood memory. It was now an active homicide investigation. On November 5, 1999, armed with a search warrant, detectives from the NYPD Cold Case Squad entered Madeline Carmichael's one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn's Brownfield neighborhood. During this time, Madeline was in poor health, and to investigators, she didn't initially appear as the typical suspect in such a horrific crime. According to investigators, when Madeline was informed they were searching for Latanisha, she replied, "Latanisha is 23 years old. All of my children are grown and have left the house." While searching the apartment, detectives entered the bedroom and quickly noticed a closet that had been bolted shut. Inside the closet, they found a blue trunk wrapped in cellophane. When investigators opened the trunk, they discovered the mummified remains of a small child. DNA testing would later confirm that the remains were those of 3-year-old Latanisha Carmichael. The newspapers used to wrap her body in was dated November 4, 1979. Detectives believe the newspapers helped establish the approximate time frame of her death. They also believe Latanisha's body had originally been hidden in the family's old apartment a few blocks away, and that Madeline had later transported the trunk with her when she moved. As the horrifying discovery unfolded, Madeline started suffering chest pains and fainted. She was hospitalized shortly afterwards for approximately 2 weeks. Meanwhile, detectives traveled upstate New York to question Gregory Carmichael, who was then in his late 30s and already serving time in prison for an unrelated robbery conviction. Both Madeline and Gregory were charged with the unaliving of Latanisha. Throughout the trial, they both maintained that it was accidental, but prosecutors pointed to the elaborate concealment of the body, the years of deception, falsified documents, welfare fraud, and testimony from surviving family members. On November 2, 2000, following a non-jury trial in the Brooklyn Supreme Court, 61-year-old Madeline Carmichael was convicted of second-degree unaliving under New York's depraved indifference to human life standard, along with tampering with physical evidence. She was sentenced to 15 years in prison. By this time, Madeline was confined to a wheelchair and suffering from terminal bone cancer. She ultimately served only 2 years before passing away in prison. Gregory Carmichael was convicted of criminal negligence, tampering with evidence, and hindering prosecution. He received a sentence of up to 4 years in prison. Latanisha's story is a reminder that cold cases should never be forgotten. Sometimes all it takes is one person asking questions, and one witness finding the courage to finally speak out. Latanisha's case still remains one of New York's most disturbing cases, not only because of the viciousness of the crime, but because a little girl disappeared for nearly 20 years. And despite multiple complaints and investigations, the system still failed to verify her whereabouts or uncover the truth behind her disappearance. New York's Administration for Children's Services later faced heavy criticism over the handling of the family's case and the warning signs that were missed. Andre Carmichael later blamed not only their mother Madeline, but also the system that failed them. For Andre and Sabrina, the discovery finally brought some measure of truth and justice after years of fear, silence, and trauma. And for Latanishia, she was no longer just a hidden secret inside a trunk. She was a precious little girl whose life was stolen far too soon. No story should be forgotten, no voice should go unheard. Sending my deepest condolences and prayers to Andre and Sabrina. May Latanisha Carmichael rest in peace. Until the next time, I'm Lock Jewel, and thank you for watching Shades of Crime. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and remember to pray. God's listening.